Karina Stanley asks, who chose Kari, Tory, and Scottie for the original season 1 of MythBusters? Nobody, because they did not show up until season 2 of MythBusters. Season 1 was shot from, I think, roughly March to November of 2003. Yeah, early November of 2003. And when we had shot the pilots, a young art student named Kari Byron was having her first day working as an intern for Jamie at M5. Kari Byron was, I don't even know how old she was. But it was her first day at M5. We were just filming the pilots, and we ended up scanning Kari's posterior to use as a model for a giant butt that we got stuck on an airplane toilet. So immediately Kari was introduced into the indignity of being a Mythbuster. But she also had some CAD skills and worked on the modeling of that big butt. And then, so she showed up in the pilots in one of the episodes. And then we made season 1 of MythBusters, just Jamie and I. I think we did 13 episodes in like 7 or 8 months. And then Discovery, the show started airing within the first 3 months of us making the show. So by the end of 2003, the show was absolutely a hit. And Discovery was like, thanks for wrapping that season. Next season, we want a whole bunch more episodes. And we were very clear that like we were at our limit of what we could achieve, Jamie and I. And we said, there was a discussion, I can't remember where it started, but about bringing in more people. And Discovery was very clear that Kari's appearance in that one episode had garnered a lot of audience attention. And they were like, will you call that young woman who showed up in that first episode, please? And we did. And so Kari was at the network's request. And we never looked back. Kari was immediately part of the team. And then both Jamie and I thought about Tory and Grant that second season. The first season we brought in the rest of the team. I mean, look, Tory, Belici is Tory. What you see is what I was working with at ILM in the 90s, and like, was totally natural. Like, oh, we want some more people? I'm gonna give Tory and Grant a call. And I remember I called Tory and I was like, dude, give me a call back. I'm gonna change your life. And then I can't remember where production found Scottie Chapman, although, I mean, Scottie's amazing, an incredible welder, an incredible maker, a really wonderful mind for engineering. And I can't remember, so I wasn't part of the find for Scottie. And then in the third season, when Scottie left, and Scottie left because Scottie was like, making TV is not the way I want to live my life. Like, it didn't, the pace of a television show was just not what Scottie wanted to deal with, and I really appreciate that. I just think that's such a lovely, balanced decision to make. And we actually brought Scottie back a few years later to do some amazing work on the second or last rocket car episode, the second one. And with Grant, when Scottie Chapman left, Jamie and I were both very, very keen on Grant being hired. And so we actually, knowing more at that point than we did way back when we were fresh, young-faced, first season Mythbusters, Jamie and I actually had a whole day of coaching with Grant. And we actually, I remember we sat in the upstairs at M5 and we set up a video camera and we recorded some of Grant's answers and then we talked about them and we talked about what we thought the network would want to hear, and it all worked. They hired him. So the answer to your question, who chose them, is everybody. They each came from different places. And then there's this other question that came in through the transom, which was from Ryan Pack. Which honorary Mythbusters stand out the most when you look back on the show? Crew that were invaluable for a long time, or guests that provided a service or talent? Our crew was amazing. Our crew, the MythBusters crew was and is an amazing organization of individuals. Several of them, I mean, we built this great machine, man, and all the cogs were just operating at a great level. But you said, so cast members, so crew that were invaluable for a long time, I mean, there were so many. But when I think of honorary MythBusters, I think of the guests on the show. I think of retired FBI agent Frank Doyle, who got us most of our C4 and nitroglycerin and other impossible to get things. The one thing, hold on just a second. I have to blow my nose. Give me just 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Apologies for doing that on camera. Frank Doyle, who passed away a couple of years ago, R.I.P. Frank, was an amazing, amazing companion, amazing supporter of MythBusters. There were even some like side projects that were personal that Frank connected me up with people for, like a real mensch. Alec Jason, ballistics expert Alec Jason, who is famous for saying to me the words, the only difference between science and screwing around is writing it down. And the moment he said that, I was like, Alec, I am going to say that on camera with your permission. And I just want you to know the moment I say it, it's going to be a thing. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, this is definitely going to be a thing. And it was a thing. When Jamie and I were touring at that point, 2012 through 2016, we could say to an audience, the only difference between science and screwing around, and the audience were to repeat back, is writing it down. It's so funny about knowing that a phrase is going to be a thing. I'm a big fan of the film Jerry Maguire. It's a terrific film. Cameron Crowe, Tom Cruise, Renee Zellweger, spectacular. Oh my God, Cuba Gooding Jr. Just a wonderful film. But I'm telling the story about that film for a reason, and I might have lost the plot about why I was telling the story. Oh, right. So in Jerry Maguire, there's this point in which Cuba Gooding Jr.'s football player tells his manager, Tom Cruise, I'm going to tell you the secret. I'm going to tell you the whole thing. You ready for the whole thing? Here it comes. Show me the money. And show me the money became this like international phrase. And in the film, what I found so surprising is the film itself knew that show me the money was like a big deal in terms of like, this is going to hit just right in the culture. And I remember thinking to myself, how did Cameron Crowe know when he was writing that show me the money would have those kind of legs? Famously, Cameron Crowe's execution of that script took something like 50 plus drafts that were carefully vetted and gone over by James L. Brooks. That's what I understand how that went, is that Jim Brooks shepherded Crowe through like I said, 50 plus drafts of that script. It is a fantastic script. So I found myself always wondering, like, how did he know Show Me the Money was going to be a thing? And then here I am on set, and Alec Jason says, writing it down, and I think, oh, that's how you know. You could just kind of tell. Sometimes it gels. Nick Plauché, the two most important honorary MythBusters were Nick Plauché and J.D. Nelson. Nick Plauché was our safety guy. He is a multi-generation stunt coordinator and performer. Nick Nick was he was the guy that talked to the insurance company for us. That was the second part of his job. The first part of his job was to meet with us about the stuff we wanted to do and help us do it safely. And then once we concocted a plan, he would call the insurance company and explain to them how we were going to do it. What's really funny when you scratch the surface of that is, a natural question might be, hey, as the show got more successful, did the insurance company get more reticent about letting you do dangerous things? And the answer is no. In fact, as the show progressed, we got more latitude to do dangerous things because we had such an impressive roster of dangerous things we had already done safely. So frequently we were going to the insurance companies and being like, we're going to shoot bullets inside a national landmark, and here's how we're going to capture them and make sure they don't get anywhere we don't want them to go. Here's an old episode in which we showed that 8 sheets of plywood makes an excellent backstop, and here are the other protocols we're going to implement. Nick also genuinely did some real stunt coordination for us. And there's really specifically this amazing moment with me and Nick. I've told this story before. I'm sorry if you've already heard it, but we were shooting Waterslide Wipeout, which is a myth based off of this viral video in which you see a guy slide down a long slide and fly what looks like 100 feet through the air into a kiddie pool. And everyone in the world sent us this video when it first started airing on YouTube. And I was like, do you want us to die? That is not a testable proposition. Going into a kiddie pool? And then various ways we thought it through, I realized that the kiddie pool only needs to be a target, that the central question of the story is, can you build a slide that you would reliably hit the same target? Is it remotely possible that you would hit that pool? And then I realized we could build that pool as a circle on a lake, and then if I miss it, I don't die. So we go out to Pit 232 up in Gold Country, Ione, California. We set up a slide. We spend several days building it. I slide down, Jamie slides down. We do pretty good. And on the second day of the sliding, the last day of doing it, first of all, the water's freezing cold. And the slide works great, but if you land wrong when you're flying 70 feet through the air at the end of a giant water slide, if you land wrong, you get a headache immediately, and it lasts all day. What you should know about stunt performers is they all have headaches all the time. They are popping ibuprofen like chiclets, like Tic Tacs, because it is a hard business on your body. And I have fallen wrong several times. I've gotten stuck in the water. I'm super cold. I'm cranky. It's the second day of doing this. And I tromp back up to the top of the hill for the final run, which is my final target run. We've determined that the pool is supposed to be where it is. And if I hit this target now, this myth is done. If I get it wrong, or if I do something that doesn't make it work right, I got to do it again. And like I said, I'm cranky. So I tromp up to the top of the hill in my rubber suit. And I'm standing there kind of cold and angry and thinking about what's in front of me. And Nick Plauché, who has been on set for this because the insurance company was utchy about it, he tromps to the top of the hill, and I see him, and I don't expect him there because I thought he's down at the bottom of the ramp, safety down there. But he's come up to tell me something. And he says, do I have anything to tell you? No. He does talk a little bit like a Southern California surfer. He says, but I have a question for you. Are you a stuntman or what? Adam, it's not about what happens here, it's about what's happening here. He said, the only thing I want you to do the only thing I want you to think when you hit the water is, does my director need another take? Which is a beautiful frame to describe a stunt person's ideology, as it were. And my next jump was perfect. Nick is an amazing human being. And J.D. Nelson, who was the public information officer for Alameda County Sheriff's Department and also the head of the bomb squad for many years. J.D. is another incredible mensch of a human being. And I'm honored to have gotten to work with him. I talked more than I expected to about that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the tested membership has become such an important part of the tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to, and you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.